17's upon us. That means the playoffs are just around the corner. And we have our top 5 bets of NFL Week 17. And stick around to the end because we're going to give you our Super Bowl winner today. And it all starts right now. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here at Grandstand Betters. I'm Matt from grandstandbetters.com. Go check us out, become part of our family. At the very least, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you get all of our free plays, free picks, and free predictions in 2021. And that's where we're at. So happy New Year, and without further ado, let's get into NFL Week 17. So our 5th best bet of the week is actually going to be a nice, interesting matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. Packers are coming in as the number 1 seed, and a win here would solidify them with home field advantage through the NFC playoffs. Chicago needs a win. They could still sneak into the playoffs. Green Bay is coming off a dominating win against Tennessee last week. Chicago, the same thing against Jacksonville. I give Green Bay a better win last week. Jacksonville obviously wanted Trevor Lawrence. Didn't really put any effort into that game. But, Aaron Rodgers is something else. He is probably going to be the MVP. He threw for 231 last week, 4 touchdowns, interception. Their running game got going. Dillon, 124 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns as well. Davante Adams, man, if Aaron Rodgers didn't have Davante Adams, I don't know if he would be MVP. Last week, 11 catches, 142, and 3 touchdowns. That's just what they've been doing all year. In fact, the last time they played the Bears this season, Green Bay dominated the Chicago Bears, and they had 4 touchdown passes from Aaron Rodgers, throwing for only just over 200 yards, and then they just ran out the clock and held on to win that game. On the other side, you got Mitch Trubisky. He's actually looked pretty decent from the last few 4 or 5 weeks. 265 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception last week against the Jacksonville Jags. Robinson was his go-to target, had 10 catches over 100 yards. And Montgomery looked pretty good, 95 yards rushing and a touchdown. He's actually been rushing very well in the last 3-4 weeks as well. I'm going to tell you right now, the defense is okay for Chicago. They're not as great as they used to be. 15th in rushing and about 16th, 17th in passing. Now, Green Bay actually, unlike recent years, has a good passing defense. They're in the top 6, and they've only allowed 107 rushing yards per game the last 3 games. This game is kind of needed by both. More so, I think Aaron Rodgers wants that bye and the home field. So we're going to take Green Bay -5 here. We're going to go with experience. Last time Mitch played these guys, he didn't come out fast, and I could see Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers going up 14-21 very early and coasting to a nice win to get that home field advantage. Moving into our best bet, number 4, it's between Kansas City and the LA Chargers. Now, this is a game that a lot of people might stay away from because KC is resting everyone, and so is LA to an extent. LA is going to rest all of their injured players because there's no reason for them to put people out there and get more injured going into next year, as they have nothing to play for in this game. So Bosa and Allen, who are questionable, I don't think they're going to play. On the other side, KC has locked up the number 1 seed, and they've locked up the bye. So why are they going to play anybody? They're not. Mahomes is going to sit. Tyreek Hill is going to sit. Edwards-Helaire is going to sit. Le'Veon Bell is going to sit. All of these players are going to sit. With that said, Chad Henne is the backup. This guy, he's a longevity NFL QB. I'm not going to say he's a veteran because he hasn't really done a lot in the NFL, but he knows how to throw the football and score some points. On the other side, Herbert has had a great year, and he's just going to look to try to get better against probably a defense that is resting a lot of their starters. He had a game-winning drive last week, which is the 3rd of the year from him, most in the NFL from a rookie. 253 yards with 1 touchdown. He threw to 7 different receivers. He's been averaging about 9 to 10 different receivers every single week. And again, throwing for more than 300 yards. I look for him to throw for 300 here. I like Chad Henne to actually put some points up on the board. The defense of the Chargers is awful. They allow 348 yards per game. They are bottom 10 in rushing, giving up 128 per game. On the flip side, you got KC. They're going to play tough, but all the starters are resting, and they're playing a lot of backups who, might want to try to make some plays, but I like Herbert to throw for maybe 3-4 touchdowns in this game and heading to get on the board as well. The line here is over 44, and the reason it is because Mahomes is sitting. That's the only reason. If he was playing, this would be in the 50s easily. I'm going to take over 44 here. Chad Henne can get some points on the board, and Herbert is looking to solidify that Rookie of the Year trophy. So take KC, LA Chargers over 44. Our third pick of this week 17 is going to be between the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills, and both of these teams have a lot to play for. Dolphins are coming in as the 5th seed, but could actually be knocked out of the playoffs entirely this week. Buffalo's coming in as the 2nd seed, and they really don't want to slip down to the 3rd seed. Both coming off decent wins. Buffalo more so against the Pats, where they dominated on Monday Night Football. The Dolphins, they won against the Raiders on Fitzmagic's magical throw last week against the Raiders. He is not out. He is in COVID protocol. Parker's going to be out. Grant is questionable. On the other side, Cole Beasley's going to be out. Yeldon and Brown are also out for Buffalo. So some of the playmakers around these two teams are out. But the thing about this game is they both need to get a win to solidify where they're going to be in the playoffs. Tua's starting, and like I've said all year, Tua is awful. This guy can't do anything, but if he needed to prove himself in one game, it's this game. He threw for 94 yards and a touchdown last week, and then finally got replaced by Fitzpatrick. The coach isn't going to have the option this week with Fitzpatrick being out. He's going to have to roll the dice and really give Tua the ability to win this game. On the other side, Allen, 320 last week, 4 touchdowns, 11 different receivers. Diggs was the man of the game last week. 9 receptions, 145 yards with 3 touchdowns. He's just been doing awesome. The problem I have with Miami in this game is their defense allows a lot of rushing yards to QBs. The last time that they have played a rushing or mobile quarterback was Murray. He had 100-plus rushing yards. Look for Allen to do the same. I can see Buffalo getting up in this game and wanting to get up 14, 21 points, and then Miami might make a little bit of comeback because the starters might be rested. So the over here is 43 points. I like the over. Tua has something to prove. Bills are going to score. They're going to get up early in this game, and they're really going to try to put a lot on Miami and force them to pass, and that's what Tua struggles with. But 43 points is so little. Take Miami, Buffalo over 43 as our third best bet of the week. Second best bet, this one, and I'm 100% biased. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers. Cleveland is in the 7th seed right now. They really crapped the bed by losing to the Jets. In fact, Will, you told me in the comments that I should not be wearing a Jets jersey anymore. I should be going back to the Browns jersey because they lost to the Jets. You know what? 100% think that's true. If you think that's true, write in the comments below. I'll make you a deal. If the Browns lose this game against Pittsburgh, who thinks I should go back to a Browns jersey? Because that's even more embarrassing on how they finished the year. Anyways, they play the Steelers. So many people out on the defense for the Browns, unfortunately. Some COVID. Ward, Sendejo on the offensive end. Bryant also out with COVID issues. Pittsburgh, really their kicker is the only one that's injured. They are resting Roethlisberger. They're going to go with Mason Rudolph. This is going to be a fun game to watch with the dynamic of Mason Rudolph and Myles Garret. If you remember last time they played, Myles Garret decided to take his helmet and hit him across the head with it and got suspended and fined pretty heavily. Now, nobody remembers really anything else about that game because that was what took the headlines. But the Steelers lost 21-7 in that game. Mason Rudolph had 4 interceptions. That was awful. He is not a good quarterback. I will say this. A couple years ago, Landry Jones came in on Week 17 when Ben was resting and did beat the Browns. Mason Rudolph is nowhere close to being who Landry Jones is. Baker looked awful last week. I'm going to cut him a little slack. Landry was out. Peoples-Jones was out. Higgins was out. Everybody that was out that he needed to throw the ball to was out. So he did hook up with Hooper for 70 yards, and that was Hooper's best ever game as a Brown. Hunt and Chubb only touched the ball 15 times out of the backfield last week. I don't know what the game plan or why that was a game plan. They need to touch the ball. We were the Browns number 1 in rushing for most of the year, and we've kind of steered away from that. I expect the Browns to get back on the pace of running Chubb and Hunt as the 1-2 punch there. The Browns defense losing a couple players, yeah, that's going to be a little bit of a problem, but the Steelers don't have a quarterback that can throw for any points. If the Browns lose this game, I am going to just be probably not here next week because I'll be in a mental institution. I'm going to tell you right now, the Browns are going to win. We're taking -10 with the Browns. The city of Cleveland has to win this game, and the organization has to win this game because they have been in the playoff hunt all year. And if they lose the last 2 games to the Jets and a depleted Steelers team, all hell's breaking loose in Cleveland, mark my word. So Browns, -10, second best bet of NFL Week 17. And that brings us to our number 1 bet of Week 17, and it's going to be in Sunday Night Football. In the NFC least, you have the Washington football team and the Philadelphia Eagles playing. Washington has a chance, I don't know how, to win the division, be the 4th seed, but they have controversy. They just got rid of Dwayne Haskins, who's probably taken the most snaps of that team all year. McLaurin is questionable. They don't know if Alex Smith is going to play. He's questionable. Tyler Heineke last week, 137 yards and a touchdown. Didn't look too bad, but teams will probably get a little more film on him and figure out how to play him. Philly, on the other hand, they're missing some players. Cox is questionable. Richard Rodgers is questionable. Their defense, their entire defense is banged up. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, is playing phenomenal. 342 last week. Only 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, but he did have 69 yards rushing. Over the last 2 games, though, he's thrown for more than 300 yards. One thing that Washington hasn't done over the last couple of weeks is have a running attack. Gibson only ran for about 60 yards. They can't get the running game going, and that's going to be critical in this matchup. Philly defense, they've allowed, last week they allowed Dalton to pass 377 yards in the air. That's Andy Dalton to 377 yards in the air. Last 3 games, they've been the worst in the NFL, giving up passing yards. If Alex Smith plays here, I like the not the Redskins, we can't say that anymore, the Washington football team to score a lot of points. And to be honest, Jalen Hurts looks good, and he's really playing in this game to see if he can get that starting job next year. And who knows what they're going to do with Wentz. I know he's a lot of money, but I think Jalen Hurts might be the future of this team. So Jalen Hurts is going to be throwing. He's going to be looking to score a lot of points. You got Alex Smith, who's more likely going to play, but even Taylor Heineke, I like him. I think there's going to be points in this game. The last time Washington faced a mobile quarterback, they've done it 5 times this year. 4 of the 5 times, the mobile quarterback has rushed over 50 yards. I like Jalen Hurts to throw for another 300 and to rush for at least 50 with 2-3 touchdowns. So we're going to go with Washington, Philly over 44. I understand why this is low, but I'm going to be honest with you. In the last 4 years, the overs on games in the last week are hitting at about 68%. And I like this one because it has 2 teams that have something to play for. You have Washington, who's going to be playing for the championship, the division title of the NFC least. And you have Philly, who has people on the team who need to play for next year, and that's Jalen Hurts. So, Jalen Hurts, it's your job to score points. I like over 44. That is our number 1 bet of Week 17. Before we teased that we were going to give you our Super Bowl winner, and we are in just a minute. But I want to know what your best bets of Week 17 are. Put them in the comments. We always like giving you shout-outs. And we're going to take a moment. We have a couple shout-outs from last week. Not very good last week from our comments. You guys didn't do as well as us. We were 3-2. The only person who had a winning record last week was Dino. He had the Bills -7. Dino, go to Grandstand Bettors, click on our email, send us a message, and we got something for you if you would like it. So Dino, good job, 1-0, Bills -7. Jorge, 2-3, level 1. You were 5-5 because you had decided that you want to add Tennessee +3.5, and your top bet, Philly, unfortunately lost. Will, as I mentioned earlier, thanks for the idea. Let me know in comments below, if the Browns lose, should I go back to the Browns or stay with the Jets? Larry, 2-3. Malcolm had a big two-pick, big money play, and Carlos Hyde lost that with his rushing yards. His 4-pick lost, but he did hit his Christmas 3-pick. Gio played alternate lines, massive alternate lines, buddy. Didn't work out for you. World Peace dipped down. I think you were 5 of 8 on your parlay. Make sure you give us a parlay this week. We all want to see it. Tylak, Raiders, you said it was going to win and cover. To be honest, it looks like you had that in the bag with 19 seconds left, but Fitzmagic decided to rip that from you. Jose gave us 3 locks. I told him there's no such thing as a lock, and that's why I'm wearing a Jets jersey, because there's no such thing as a lock. He gave us 3 locks. He went 0-2, and he had a push. So, Jose, no such thing as a lock. And finally, Jason, 2-3, not bad. It was a rough week for our viewers in Week 16. Hopefully, you guys do better in Week 17. Put those comments below. Best bets, parlays. I want to see everything. We'll give you a shout-out during our wild card episode. Now, without further ado, I did tease you that I have a Super Bowl winner. And a lot of people are going to kind of not agree with me here, but I don't think that KC or Green Bay, as number 1 seeds, most likely, are going to win. Green Bay, we just found out, literally seconds ago before we started filming, that David Narakari is out, ACL tear, so I don't like their chances. And KC, they haven't looked as dominant in years past, so I'm going to actually go with the Buffalo Bills. They are at 9-1. You can get them at 9-1. You throw $100 on that, that's almost $1,000 off of 100. 9-1, the Buffalo Bills are gonna win the Super Bowl this year. Let us know your Super Bowl winner below with your best bet. And as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the last week of NFL football. The playoffs are next week. Hopefully the Browns are in them. But as always, let us do the work while you do the winning.